shell-shocked survivors left to pick through what's left of their homes. Emergency workers had tried to warn towns that a flood was coming, but in Walporzheim, in West Germany's Rhineland-Palatinate, residents say they had almost no time to react before their homes were hit by raging floodwaters. All of a sudden, the water breached the dam. All the houses here are the same height, so when the water came up from the cellar at lightning speed, we all jumped in our cars and drove up the mountain. We had to get ourselves to safety. Many towns don't have electricity or clean water. Internet has been cut off and phone reception is down. Volunteers have come from nearby areas, bringing whatever equipment they had to help clear roads and houses. When I arrived here, it was a catastrophe. The entire road behind me was covered in branches and wrecked cars, all mashed into one up to this height. You couldn't access the buildings left and right, and we didn't know what we would find in the rubble. We were warned that we might come across bodies and that we should alert the fire brigade and the police. Many towns are still cut off from help. Some major roads are flooded or broken apart. The authorities say overflowing dams could still burst, threatening more homes and forcing residents to stay clear of the area. While the weather has cleared in some areas, more rain is expected.
Well, there are several areas across Western Germany affected by this flooding. And DW's Julia Saudelli is on the ground for us in Rhineland-Palatinate. She is in the city of Walporzheim, tracking the latest for us there. Let's bring her in now, Julia. Tell us what the situation is like where you are.
Started here to move on from the initial shock of what happened and actually taking stock of the real damage that has occurred here. As you can see here behind me, there is debris strewn all over the streets, mud inside the homes. It is filled with mud. Windows and doors have been torn away, and people are slowly starting to clean up. We don't see many authorities or firefighters here helping clean up. There are a lot of volunteers who came to this town with tractors and other equipment to try to clean up the streets. A lot of them are farmers from the neighboring region, and we spoke to one of these volunteers and asked them what he saw when he first arrived here in the town. Let's have a listen.
When I arrived here, it was a catastrophe. The entire road behind me was covered in branches and wrecked cars all mashed into one up to this height. You couldn't access the buildings left and right, and we didn't know what we would find in the rubble. We were warned that we might come across bodies and that we should alert the fire brigade and the police. It was all very uncertain, and we were working with our own tools that we brought with us.
Julia, we hear there really is all hands on deck in what is an unstable situation still. And we're hearing reports that in the region there are still 1,300 people unaccounted for. Is there any update on finding those people?
Yeah, this is news we heard yesterday evening from the authorities here in the region, and we haven't heard of an update since then. The authorities are hoping that these people that are unaccounted for, that it is because the communication via telephone and internet is very spotty, very difficult at the moment, and that's why they can't reach all these people. But there is fear that there will be more dead discovered and found in the coming hours.
Julia, we see some of the destruction there behind you. Can you give us an idea, or is there an idea already, of how big the damage is?
Authorities haven't yet given a number or an amount for how much the damage amounts to in terms of money. But as we see here, it is a serious situation. There are entire trees and cars strewn across streets, mud everywhere. The ground floors of homes are completely inundated with mud, and it's going to take time and money to clean up the town here and to start rebuilding afterwards.
DW's Julia Saudelli reporting there with the very latest from Valpoatsheim. Thank you. It's not just Germany that's experiencing heavy rains and flooding. Neighboring Belgium and the Netherlands have both seen unusually heavy downpours. Rising water levels caused rivers to burst their banks, sending water gushing through the streets. Belgian authorities have reported 12 deaths, and they're urging people to seek higher ground to stay safe.
Perched precariously on their rooftops, these residents in the Belgian province of Liège are doing all they can to stay dry. The high waters forced them to take refuge where they could. A catastrophe. In 60 years, I've never seen anything like this. So it's really unusual. And I think that it's going to cause a lot of trouble for a lot of people. Residents are relieved to get to safety, but also devastated by what they've had to leave behind. I'm relieved, but I've lost everything. I live on the ground floor, and there on the ground floor everything has been destroyed. It was hard. I had to open the door of my mother's bird cage so the bird could escape, but my 3 cats are still up there. In the Netherlands, Limburg province has also been hit with flash floods and heavy downpours. Thousands of people have been evacuated. The army has been sent in to help rescue and flood prevention efforts.